Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? We are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, and I should probably take down that photo so you can see my face. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have a great guest once again lined up for you. We are about halfway through the month. Another double shot coming up with another episode later on tonight at 7 o'clock. So make sure you come back here at 7, and then after that, a live stream with the NXT watch along. So you're gonna see my face 3 times if you want to tonight, or you can just block me from the internet and never see me again. It's your choice. As I take a little sip there, because there's gonna be a lot going on in the voice box. I'm not even wearing an independent shirt, so I dropped the ball there. But yeah, make sure you check out the links below for not only my stuff, but for my guest links. And 2 injured wrestlers at the moment can use your support. Adena Steele and Philly Mike Swanson, their links below. They have subscription services as well as links to their merch page, or you can just add them on social media, say what's up, say you love them, and keep showing them that support. If you are brand new here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. We are live currently on Facebook, on Twitch, on Twitter, and on there's something else here. YouTube. YouTube is the big one. So if you guys can head over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, that would help out tremendously. We're sitting at 452, so we're halfway to 500. The goal is trying to hit 500 by the end of the month. Can we do it? I don't know. I feel like it's going to start getting a little petering out here towards the end, because the highest I've ever hit on YouTube is 583 subscribers, and it took me 4 years to do that. So I'm getting very, very close, and I've only been doing this a couple months with this new channel. But like I said, a lot of cool things coming up. Make sure you follow along for that. A lot of new content coming soon. Movie, music, television, video games, anything pop culture reviews are coming. And I'm welcome to have guests for that as well. I'm going to start the first couple ones, I think, solo, just kind of reviewing something myself until I can get more people who are willing to do so. Also, horror movie reviews with myself and my wife. Every Thursday, I'm doing wrestling content. Well, almost every Thursday. Sometimes we take the weeks off with me and BP Burke, so that's coming. Brewery and dive bar reviews are coming, so I'm going to go to a local bar, bring a camera, and a little tiny camera GoPro, and experience and record my experience and tell you about it, so you can go experience maybe these cool little dive bars. And if you don't live close, you can experience them through the lens of the camera on YouTube. I think that's all I got coming up. I think that should be it. And then more ABJ podcasts. But without further ado, let me bring my guest in. The one, the only, I don't know how I feel about this guy. No, I'm joking. I love this kid to death. Vincent Torres.
That's right. That's right. The ace student, baby. Ace student.
Ace student. Let's start right there.
Yeah.
Because that is a bold name to make while you're at the sanctuary. The ace student.
Yeah.
And he did it to be funny, and he did it to be and to set a moment. But it was very funny when Trotsky pulled your card and told Ace Austin that is your name going into the sanctuary. The pure fear in your eyes and regret, and realize, like, oh boy, I cannot believe someone actually told Ace Austin my moniker going forward, was one of my highlights of 2020.
Yeah. And I wasn't even sure if I was actually wearing the shirt, because I have the shirt, like I have the merch and everything made that says Ace student. So, and then all of a sudden Travis Dorian comes up and he yanks up my jacket, my sweatshirt, and luckily I was wearing this Roman Reigns shirt. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so when someone says in front of Ace Austin, like, you know what this asshole's going with? The
Ace student, baby.
But listen, man, that's a motivating thing, and I think that's what sets you apart from what a lot of people are doing right now in this area. You're part of a new generation at the sanctuary. Yep. You're kind of the leader of a generation, because you have a little leg up on a lot of them, because you've kind of put that time in a little before your crew, which we'll get into in a moment. But that's got to be a motivating thing. If you're going to use the term ace inside that building, and your world your world champion is Ace Austin, you better work your ass off to live that, because that's all that guy does. He trains, he works out. His legs are the size of NFL running backs. He has the hardest work ethic in professional wrestling. So if you're going to be in a building where he's your world champion, he comes from as well, and you're going to use the moniker the ace student, boy, you better have a work ethic. And I think you're think you're on your way to do that. I've heard a lot of good things. JS Hawthorne, or I don't want to use his shoot name, but
Yeah,
he's been very vocal about your work ethic you put in there and how they almost have to kick you out of there because you're there so much.
I have my own key now, so I'm in there more than they want me to now.
Almost start.
I have this new kid, Brian. He does camera and all that now. I was just with him. I was just in there with him a couple days ago, working on him, getting him ready for the next season. So I'm excited because I don't take the name A Student lightly. I started calling myself the A Student after I had that best of 3 series with Crispy on the initial proving grounds, and it was for the top student position. So once that was determined and I had beaten him on top student, well, we have the Stampede coming up, and we all had to cut promos on who's on Ace Austin because we all want that shot against Ace Austin. What a better way to do it than the Ace Student versus the Ace of the Sanctuary? And then the first thing I got told was like, you don't even know Ace Austin. I'm like, well, Ace Austin is in Tanahashi and he's the Ace of Japan, right? But he's still in Japan. So, I'm doing my thing. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to put in the work and get better every time I'm there.
Yeah, and it's crazy to say that because they say the Ace of Japan, but I think when it's all said and done and we talked about the career of Ace Austin in 10, 15, 20 years, I think he's going to be up there with the AJ Styles of the world. And I think he's going to be someone who's really going to make a mark in this business.
Yeah.
And if you think I'm crazy for saying that, you'll see. We'll check back in a couple of years and you're going to be like, holy crap, Blackwell, you weren't playing around.
No, you're absolutely right. I was actually on a call with a few of my friends online. And, they're all a bunch of wrestling marks. They all have their opinions. And they're like, Ace Austin's a C-tier wrestler. I'm like, well, bud, the level, the difference between a C-tier wrestler and a D-tier wrestler is this much. Because a C-tier wrestler doesn't make it to New Japan and doesn't win over their audience, right? Because they have such a respect for the sport and what we do. So to win them over and get them emotionally invested into what you're doing something right. That takes you from C tier to something beyond that. Now you have an atmosphere. Now you have something around you.
And listen, a lot of people are probably going to give him that because he's. I know they get a bad rap, but I don't think it's justified at all, and that's Impact.
Yeah.
I think if Impact was on cable television and it was accessible for people to watch, and it wasn't on a channel that you may or may not pick up on your TV. Or you need to pay a subscription to go watch it. Impact Wrestling storylines are as good, if not better, than anything that we're going to watch on TV right now. Their roster is very young, even though they need to lean a little heavier with their younger roster. Looking at Impact, you have a guy like Ace, you have all these really, really talented young people, and then they're like, let's bring in this veteran that has peaked 30 years ago and have them go for the world title.
Old habits.
Anyway. But it's just like, man, you have this real young roster, rock with it. So sometimes Impact can be their own worst enemy, but what is there in that roster's Impact is very, very good, and I think they have a crazy opportunities. But I mean, AJ cut his teeth in Impact and then went over to Japan and then killed it. So he's kind of following that footstep. So to say that he's not going to be that top tier at some point, I think it's kind of crazy.
No, he's definitely just from watching his match with Schultz, just being right there and you feel it, right? Because you could feel off what wrestlers give. This whole thing, every time I'm at training, I always it's always a word out of my mouth: atmosphere. And atmosphere in pro wrestling is the most necessary thing to have. And when Ace walks in, he commands the room. Mm-hmm. He sets the standard for what's a wrestling match. And he gets in there with our top star in JS Hawthorne for that year. And he's running laps around them. He's wrestling laps around JS Hawthorne, a guy who kicked my ass earlier on in that season. So it's just, you got to understand that there's tiers, and he's S tier. He's S tier.
Yeah. Now I am reading the chat. I am not ignoring you guys. I will get your comments up there. But like I said, this is a podcast format, so I don't want to go too crazy. But if you do have any questions as we go, please ask them as we go. So Savage in the chat, thank you. Teresa, we love you to death. Thank you for hanging out. Ace Austin's on a rocket ship. Crispy says he was there for a promo. What a bum that kid is. Thank God he's, you know what I mean? Thank God he's as far away as possible, and we don't have to see or hear him, not even his leg.
Ever again.
And then 50-year-old Bully Savage. Bully had a good match with Josh. I agree, but Youngtown needs to shine. Yeah, it was a fine match. But they definitely need to push that younger crowd. So, professional wrestling, obviously, we already kind of hinted at a few things there and talked about it. When did you catch this bug? When did it become a thing in your life? Was it always something that was in your household? To walk us through finding that this crazy thing we call professional wrestling.
Yeah. So when I was younger, and I lived in New York, because I'm from New York originally, but it's just cast out that like I was born and raised in West Hazelton, which isn't the case. And it was this one bedroom apartment. We're all living with my great grandmother because times are rough sometimes. And so it's a bunch of us in this one bedroom apartment. And every time 8 o'clock Monday, my great grandfather would always put on Monday Night Raw. And my favorite experience, like I hold it so dear to my heart, is I came in during the Rey Mysterio CM Punk feud. So Rey Mysterio is all-time favorite. CM Punk's an all-time favorite. Um, and just the way like I got to watch a small guy like take on the guy that's bullying him, like, and they're both small guys. Like now that I'm like older, I see that like they're both like around like my height range and all that.
Mhm.
It was just the way they pulled me in. Like it was like a larger than life story, and it was enough to like it was enough to distract me from like what reality was. It was enough to be like, hey, this is pro wrestling, and now I'm a fan. And from there on out, I was hooked. I watched all the Netflix specials when we didn't have cable. I would go and watch everything they had on Netflix. I would go and watch everything that was on WWE's YouTube channel. I would go, and that's how I found out about Impact. It came on Access TV one time. No, this is before it was like on Destiny. It was on something. And I would watch that, and it was like Hulk Hogan and Bully Ray and stuff. Weirdest time ever. But like I loved everything. So I just stuck with it.
Now, when did you catch on to the independent wrestling scene? Living in Hazleton, obviously, you had a little bit of choices there. You had two major companies with PPW, which I think for a while, I think PPW was definitely the more accessible one because of marketing and promoting, and they had a bigger team involved. And then there's that secret gem that just hides in a church that no one really knows about, and it's kind of just one guy running the ship, and it's hard for him to go out and do everything because he didn't really have a support system for a while there. You know what I mean? Sanctuary. So how did you then find out about the independent scene? Who did you find out first, and then how did you end up landing where you are?
Yeah. So my uncle Eddie, you know him. He used to do security work, and he used to do ref work for PPW. And one time he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to this wrestling show." And there's actually I posted it on my Instagram. It was the first ever Indy. It was the first wrestling event I've ever been to. And on the poster was Travis Dorian. I don't remember who he was facing. And I was looking back on it not too long ago, and like it was just a picture of me posing with like the two WWE tag team titles in front of a poster with Travis Dorian on it. And I think it's crazy that like now I like share a locker room with him. So it was like the PPW event, and then
I seen an old photo of Travis Dorian wrestling. Who was it at PPW? And he had longer hair, not long hair, but he had
he had hair,
more hair.
Yeah, hair.
And he was so little. Like because Travis Dorian's he's a monster
Big
now.
dude, yeah.
I mean, he's slimmed down a ton, but
Mhm.
he's a bigger dude now. Got that man bod now. You know what I mean? Everyone has that young like early 20s bod, and then they hit that 30 40
Yeah.
start tearing it up. You know. But yeah, so that he part of who was the name they brought in? It's always like usually when people remember
That show,
PPW,
there wasn't a name actually. It was just the PPW guys. And my favorite guy instantly right off the bat was this dude named British Werewolf. And he used to wear these like light blue contacts, and like they contrasted everything about him, and like he used to howl, and which is weird because like now I laugh at Davey Richards for howling, but I loved this dude. He was like their no limits champion and all of that. But yeah, no, I loved everything that was going on there because I knew it wasn't WWE, but like for some reason it not being WWE made it real to me again. Like, oh, there's stuff outside of WWE. Like this feels legit now. Like I'm here and I'm watching these guys do it. And then they started bringing in people. So I got to meet like Booker T, Samoa Joe. I got the last ever 2 Sweet from AJ Styles before he went to WWE.
Yeah, I was like,
insane.
I didn't know about PPW until much later. But the fact that a company that I worked for had AJ Styles in the building and I wasn't aware of it, that one kind of stings a little. Yeah. If you are
Ken
watching,
Anderson signed my shirt. So
who did?
Ken Anderson.
Oh, nice.
So I walk up to Ken Anderson, and like he's one of the few people who like the bigger stars they brought in that like willingly signed my shirt. Other ones are like, yeah, give me like $15 and I'll sign. I'm like, oh, okay.
Carney shit.
But it's understandable. I understand it now that
Yeah.
they're all they're working for whatever they can get out of it.
Sometimes that's their gas money to the
Like
next show.
PPW, yeah. Yeah, so Ken Anderson turns to me and was like, all right, I'll sign your shirt. All of a sudden, big kick my ass on the back of my shirt. And there's some random wrestler. He comes up behind me and just like kicks the crap out of my ass. It's great.
If you are watching on Twitch or Facebook, make sure you head over to the link in that I just posted in the chat to YouTube. So if you just head over to YouTube and search Anthony Blackwell Jr., or you can search Vincent Torres interview ABJ, it should pop up. And make sure you hit that like and those subscribes. Even if you are on Facebook, hit that like while you're there. It helps the algorithms. Chat, tell us you're there, say hi, as well as hitting that share button helps out so much. So if you're on Twitch or Twitter or anything, hit that retweet. And let's grow. I think I'm only one subscriber away from hitting 100 on Twitch. I just found that out
That's wild.
the other day, which is kind of insane to think about because I haven't used my Twitch in probably a year.
It was a sign you got to start. That's it.
Yeah. Crispy says, I remember, I don't know why people's things are showing up Facebook user too. I don't know what's going on with that. I have to look into it. But yeah, Booker, I think my first show when I went as a fan was when Impact came to town. And that was like one of the first times I went. The first show I was supposed to go to was Drago, when he from Lucha Underground was there, and I didn't get a chance to go to that show. And I went to the next one, and that was the Impact show. So it was Johnny Morrison versus Nick Aldis, and Ace wrestled that night. It was pretty much the Impact stars, and I was like, oh boy, this is crazy. And I just kind of kept going after that, and then I found out of the Sanctuary through Schultz. And he's like, yo, you should come check this out. And then I fell in love with that building, fell in love with that environment and locker room. When did you find out about the church?
So outside of PPW, he would have all his wrestlers out there, and they would be handing out Sanctuary flyers in front of PPW at the end of the shows. So one day, Eddie again, he called them up and he was doing security for them. So me and my uncle, we all went, and this is back when Sanctuary had they were using the steel chairs and everyone was sitting on chairs. We went there, and my first show was insane. That's when I got to see Atu. I'm not sure if you ever seen an Atu match.
I haven't, no.
The way he I can't even explain it. He's the sole reason I would ever go to a Sanctuary show because of that. Because just the presence he had and just what he set for the tone. Because no matter where you saw that man on a poster, you're like, that's a world champion. And in my mind, he's still undoubtedly the greatest Sanctuary world champion of all time. And I love Ace, but can't beat Atu. Can't.
Yeah. I try to explain to people too. I said, independent wrestling is amazing. And that's where you're going to get your experience of meeting the names, right? So you're going to have a little more of an intimate experience, and you're going to have a little more of that personal time meeting people. But I always say to myself, if you go to a con or you go to a show or a bigger show and Ace Austin's there or a name is there, and you're like, boy, I only got a couple minutes because the lines were big or there was a lot of people there. Bro, if you were there at the end of the year at Sanctuary, you could have as much personal time with Ace as you want, or any of the roster, because we kind of all walk around and we make ourselves accessible, and maybe that pulls back to curtain a little bit, but it's just to see the real young crowd and kind of see their favorite person walk around and they kind of get a high five or a thumbs up or a dap or a talk to them a little bit. It's a much different experience being at the Sanctuary.
It was so fun. There was one show, Philly Mike just had wrestled, and he was sitting in the crowd, and here I am. So me and Chris are in the crowd, and we're talking, and all of a sudden this kid comes over, and he's like, "Oh, Philly Mike's okay. He got really beat up," and Mike's just there like this, and so they're just going off talking about.
I do like when the wrestlers come back out with their hoods up and they sit in the pews so they can be crowd noise and participate, but also not kill it too much. You know what I mean? But
the kid's there for a good 5 minutes talking about Philly Mike. And he's just chilling in the crowd, right there, like this now, because the kid's full conversation with us. And we're like, yeah, we hope he's all right too.
He's right behind you. Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. So when did you start transitioning to becoming a fan of the Sanctuary to, boy, I can start training here? So you had your opportunity to train at PPW. That's their Sanctuary's there. You can go up the road more to backbreakers. There's a lot of opportunities in Northeast PA. So how did you land on the Sanctuary and why?
Sanctuary was always the choice. Like I never had that on my mind was I gonna train somewhere else. It was always Sanctuary for me, like as a kid, because they were always advertising themselves as the school, and I'm like, okay, when I grow up, I'm gonna train at the Sanctuary, and it's crazy because my little brother's the same way now. He wants to train at the Sanctuary when he grows up. Yeah, so I was 16 when I first tried it because it was just a test run. John let us do that, and my uncle, once again, he was a ref, so he's practicing taking his bumps. So we go there. I try it out. I hurt my arm. I stopped doing it for like for a while, and then I'm 18 again after COVID. I'm like just trying to get out of depression. Real chubby, chubbiest I've ever been, and from there I'm just like, you know what? Let me try it out. How's it gonna hurt? And then I go there. My first experience, it was great. I went from like a class of like 6 people, and then all of a sudden it was just me. I'm the only student of the Sanctuary, and for like an entire winter, it was just me training with Palco, Andre, Hawthorne. Those were my trainers. Yeah.
And there are 3 names right there who have really taken up the mantle of essentially building the Sanctuary up to where it is now.
Yep.
Listen, people are going to talk about the world champion all the time because they're the one representing the company or representing the brand. But Ace is doing his Ace thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Ace is in the world. He's killing the game. So it's hard for him to fly that Sanctuary banner. But you have those 3 right there who come in as the new students. Not only do they come in as students and take their training seriously, but they take the building seriously.
Yep.
Like the building to them became a baby. Like they're not only just training, but they're cleaning. They're prepping things. They're like, if we put this here, how could we like teach us how to fix the lights? So trust, because if you like people who don't know, the Sanctuary is essentially a 2-man team. And when I say a 2-man team, it's John Shosky and it's the greatest behind the scenes camera producer guy and Tom. I'm like, without Tom, it's a nightmare sometimes. But there are more people who are taking more responsibilities and taking more pride into that building and making it this larger than life thing. And I think the first 3 people who really got that ball moving, at least for me, just to kind of go in there and take it a different was those 3 you just said.
Yep.
And then you kind of being that next guy who's going to bridge this path for the next group that's coming in that we'll talk about a little bit here. I love what's happening in that building, and I keep telling people, man, if you're in the area, please, 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 please experience that building, experience what's going on there. It's the cheapest wrestling ticket you're ever going to have in your life.
Seriously.
It's literally going to be one of the most. It's going to be one of your best experiences because you're going to see a movie set / wrestling studio come to life, because that's exactly what it is. And in the links below right now is the Sanctuary YouTube channel. Please click that and go hit subscribe, and you can watch all the back content as well as this upcoming season. So make sure you hit the bell and be notified every time they go live, because if you can't make it in person, you can always watch it around the world when it's completely live, and it's really, really good stuff.
And watching it live is actually like a completely different experience in itself. You get to hear the commentators, you get the feel of like what Sean and like what everyone's coming together to like produce, which is essentially TV. It's television.
Can you hear us on commentary while you're in the ring?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
but
Sounds like
usually it depends, because when I'm in the ring, like my head's completely blank. I don't really think. But there'll be a time where like when like we were first doing the Honor Society, and I was facing who was I? I was facing Andy Header at the Lucha show, and all I hear is BT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that building's really weird because obviously it's a church and they put commentary up on the top balcony. Now, the way churches are usually designed is a lot of people who are on the balcony who sing, they don't have mics on them because the way that the roof travels with sound, it projects over a quiet church and you can really get your voice out there. So sometimes I'm like trying to warn people, like, be careful where you're having a conversation, because there's been times where I'm on the balcony and I'm doing stuff and I hear someone having a really quiet conversation over by the other door across the room, because the way the sound travels in there, it sounds like you're standing right next to each other.
There was a time Austin was Precious. He was holding the mic, he was holding the camera, and it was like during one of the performances, and like you could hear him humming along to the performance.
Yeah.
It's great.
That is such an awesome moment too.
Yeah.
I had him in the parking lot for he helped when I ran a music festival one time, the one and done thing. And this kid, his band wasn't even booked, but the entire band showed up and they helped any way they possibly could. And another reason why I love Austin to death. But Austin's out in this no shade in a parking lot, just helping park cars. Never parked a car in his life. I didn't even give him instruction. I said, dude, just put cars places. And he's out there and he's listening to all the bands that he wants to be a part of, that he wants to be out there watching, that he wants to experience. And he's not, and he's out in a field because he cares about me as a person and he's out there helping. But he's out in the people were videotaping him from inside the venue because he was out in the field just dancing while he's parking cars. He's like, over here. So yeah, Austin humming on a live mic camera is definitely a totally awesome thing to do. Yeah, so started training at the Sanctuary. You go from a class of 6 to 1, and you're working with three of the top guys in the Northeast Pennsylvania scene, who I feel have really branched out and have shown the Northeast wrestling scene and much more, that the Sanctuary is not to be taken lightly anymore. That talent can come out of here. Homegrown talent is now coming out of the Sanctuary, and they're not a joke anymore.
That's exactly right. Especially like a guy like, because everyone knows Hawthorne, everyone knows, well, not as much people know Palco, but more guys like Palco and
Andre Paulino, though.
Yeah, Palco and Paulino, like, people who know Hawthorne, when they find out who Andre Paulino or Canella is, they're gonna be taken aback. Easily, like, one of the best people like I've ever like stepped in a ring with, period. And I've stepped in the ring with quite a few like great wrestlers so far. He's worked like head-on training with Colby Carino, and like you could see it because I've had Colby Carino seminars, and you could just see like Andre through him.
And the rumors. So the rumors with Colby for a while have been that he had a WWE tryout and nothing ever came of it, and we're gonna move on and not talk about it. And then it kind of resurfaced again today. I don't know if you've seen it.
I saw it.
Now they're saying Colby's maybe NXT bound. That tryout maybe did flourish into something, and Colby might be in NXT, which fuck yes.
Lock up with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great.
But yeah, Andre, one of the best sellers I've ever seen. His facial expressions, the way he sells, he can literally go from the absolute golden fight from behind, get his ass kicked babyface, or he can turn into complete strong style, and you almost forget his size because he can lay shots in. He can get just as stiff and just as and Trotsky used to say from the balcony, he's like sometimes when Paulino puts together a match, I know we'll just say, for example, there's a feline character at the Sanctuary, and Trotsky's like, wait, who's wrestling who? And he's like, we got to keep an eye on this because this can get ugly quick. Because Paulino can start getting a little solid. And like I said, Sanctuary rules are Sanctuary rules. Yep. And but Paulino, man, he can put on a show. Him and Hawthorne at Outbreak Wrestling, I still think is one of my favorite matches that ever happened in that building, and it was two Sanctuary kids.
And it's crazy because like you watch them train, and like you get to sit there and you get to be a fan like behind the scenes. So like I'm watching like all these great matches that nobody's ever gonna get the chance to see, and like they're happening in front of me every time. Hawthorne and
I'm guessing this Facebook user that's name's not popping up is Hawthorne. That's it's just me, Andre Outbreak, and me and Paulino at Smash.
Yeah. And then I have guys like Hawthorne and guys like Andre, like, and then you have Palco, and they had like their great matches on the shows, and I'm like, I've seen them wrestle like 20 times, like over and over, and like every match is like better, or like they're having better matches at practice sometimes that we're always upset because we forget to record them. But yeah, like there's just like a chemistry between those three that there's always going to be because of like how they came up together. Mm-hmm. And like I'm always going to have a chemistry with them because of like over that winter when I was the only student, it was literally just me and Hawthorne like those entire months. Like there was times like we were practicing European uppercuts. Fun story. He's like, take off your shirt. Freezing cold, take off your shirt. We took off our shirts and we just practiced uppercuts on each other the entire practice. Big welts across my chest. You can't see any on his because he's hairy. But yeah.
You're like, yeah, Dick, I could take my shirt off and I'm not as warm. You still have a sweater on.
Another shirt.
I love you, Hawthorne.
Practically got a
But
crew
listen,
neck.
those moments too, like you may not be aware of this, or maybe you are, but the time that you're putting in there, and you think that you're getting experience from Hawthorne, but Hawthorne's getting just as much out of you because you're a body in there that he can work. So a lot of Hawthorne's success as well is because you're in that room and you guys are feeding off each other. So for how much you're helping him, you're probably I mean, how much he's helping you, you're probably helping him just as much. And that's a cool moment. So my question for you is, and a lot of these questions, I do apologize for a lot of people. It's going to seem they're going to seem very personal, but hey, it's the ABJ podcast.
Yeah.
You from someone who came in now 2 seasons ago at the Sanctuary, and I kind of came in with Pete, and I was that secondary guy because Pete just demands the top guy spot every time he's in a building because he's so good. And I don't mind playing second fiddle to Pete whatsoever. But I kind of came in there and I was kind of just learning the ropes and figuring things out and actually learning about what the Sanctuary is and how to handle it and stuff like that. You were very quiet, reserved.
Oh yeah.
You didn't talk to anybody. I for a while I was like, this kid is a wrestler. like
Yeah.
you kind of gave me that, like, you had, I'm not trying to be mean.
No, you're right.
You had zero backbone, zero
Yeah.
confidence. You almost blended into the background. Like you could literally walk by you.
I'm
and
not
not
in the
even
background.
realize you
I'm
were there.
sanctuary noise. Like
Yeah,
I was
and I was just like,
static noise.
and then I seen you would jump in and throw a referee shirt on, and then you
Mhm.
became Vincent the referee. Like that's what we called you. That like
Vincent the student,
Vincent the
Vince the
student,
ref.
essentially we just kind of gave you like the generic young boy.
Yep.
And I didn't even realize you were training. I just thought you were a kid who was just like, I'm gonna one day be a wrestler. I was like, oh, that's adorable. And then just over time, just one season, like from one season to the next, you ended the Sanctuary 1 year as Vincent the ref and got in there and had like maybe like just one weekend, because all those things blend together, because that first year there is still my all-time favorite thing of the Sanctuary, because I probably got more reps on commentary in 1 year at the Sanctuary than some people do their entire commentary career, because at the time we were running every Friday, Saturdays sometimes, and then every Sunday. So I was getting like 3 reps a weekend in 1 year, and just was getting so much of that time. And I think I credit so much of me, if I'm even good at this, credit to being as good as I probably am on commentary because of those reps and getting as much time as I did with Pete, and then having a revolving door of people coming in and just kind of getting that opportunity. But you kind of, in that one weekend shot, you had a battleground thing, you had a Saturday thing, and then Sunday you kind of closed out the night in like a after thing, and then you went from being Vincent the referee and Vincent the student to Vincent the wrestler. Like you kind of, and then you had that moment, and something clicked, it seemed, and then you had that off season where I think it seems like you caught the bug, like even more, and that confidence and that backbone started stiffening up, and then you came into 2022, you were essentially the leader of a stable, and you thinned out tremendously. Your confidence got there. You got mean. You became like a little tiny, like almost like a little Tasmanian devil, man. Like you started going there and just like you developed that. Walk me through that. When did that moment click? What was that moment where you're like, no, I'm not going to be background noise here anymore. I'm gonna start taking my spot.
So it was I had like really bad like anxiety, and like I'm currently going to counseling for it and all that. I've never like had done anything for it for a long time, and Sanctuary really ended up being like therapy for me, and like it really like I got to watch guys like Trajan backstage, and like
Changing this kid from the time I met him until now is wild, and that's saying a lot from Eric Pinhack, because he's been in the game a long time. I love that guy to death.
He's come to some practices too at Sanctuary, and like I remember everybody. Like I remember every little thing I've been told. I remember every little moment, because like everything's been so special to me and like helping me like develop like what I am now. And like I'm still not finished. I know I'm not finished. Like there's way more like I could build upon.
You're building a very strong foundation after this year.
Yeah, and like it was the off season, and like I'm sitting in my room, and I'm like, I'm not happy with Vincent the student. Vincent the student gets pushed around a lot. Vincent the student is getting bullied, and I feel like people always want to see the good guy come out from bullying, and that's not always the case. I like to say every villain has the right intentions. Every villain is doing what he thinks is right. Well, reality is I'm doing what I think is right, and I'm doing how I need to do it. You push me to this. Those guys like Hawthorne, Paulino, they push me to do this. How do I go from being your guy over the winter to push around to you can't even defend me in a stampede? Like you're throwing me over the top rope because you want to kiss up to Marcy? Like, come on, I'm right here. And that's when it snapped. I'm like, now I'm gonna give them what's real. I'm gonna give them what you get from Brooklyn, the ability to survive and adapt. Because Brooklyn doesn't raise fighters, it raises survivors. And you take that survival instinct and you become a fighter through Sanctuary. Sanctuary made the fighter. So now I'm fighting.
I love that. I love that so much. And sometimes I try to maybe throw a few logs on a fire that needs that rekindling, and there may
You
be some.
helped. You definitely helped.
And sometimes on commentary, like, listen, I'm the behind the scenes. Like, I know on commentary, sometimes I do the heel and I pick on people, but I also kind of call a little bit of some facts on commentary.
Yeah.
If you're out there and you're half-assing it, or I think there's more to you, I'm gonna attack you a little bit on commentary, and I'm gonna make you try to get a little better, like, because you're gonna listen to your footage back and be like, "Yo, Blackwell's kind of shitting on me," but then you're gonna look back and be like, "I see what I need to do," and
Yeah.
then you're like, "Not only am I gonna prove him wrong, like, you know what I mean?" And that's where I
You,
kind of like.
I'm not gonna lie, you quite literally inspired the whole like Honor Society started and like it was really rough. Like no one really understood what was going on. Like that whole battle royal was like we had a really cool idea. It didn't work out how it should have. You like the way you came at us, and I'm sitting there backstage with Austin. I'm like, he really threw us under the bus. And then I'm like, that's fine.
It was with good intention.
No,
I
yeah,
promise you that 100%.
oh yeah. Um, and I'm like, you know what? Fine. Let him throw us under the bus. And then I got to have that match with Andy Header. And the first thing I did in that match, I look at you. I'm like, this is your boy, right, Andy?
Love it.
And
Yeah.
I had the match with Andy Header.
And you had a fantastic match with Andy Header. So sometimes on commentary, I'm not just throwing shots to be a dick or be an ass. I'm adding some fuel to a fire, and I think I'm really happy that you guys didn't take it personal
No.
and get upset. I love you to death, Crispy. I'm kind of trying to throw logs on your fire as well.
I will say this, like just like off topic, Chris has improved insane over this off season. Like the
100%.
Chris we're gonna see next season is a completely different Chris from last season, and I'm excited for it.
I'm pumped to see it. But that's the thing. If someone kind of looks up a commentary and goes, "You made this like that's good," you know what I mean? Not trying to put myself over, but that's.
No, you're doing your job. You're doing a great job too.
I always told myself I'm going to try to blur that lines of reality and being true to myself, doing commentary, and kind of calling you guys the B team and saying that you guys are kind of a joke. Your team turned around, and by the end of the season, put your stamp on going into 2024.
That was the plan from the get go. Honor Society is the students that got pushed to the side, because that in reality, like all the people above me, they had the hands to guide them. I went back and I watched like one of Hawthorne's first matches at like WXW, and you could hear on the match Trotsky helping them out, and I'm like, I never had that. I had go out there and let me see what you have, and that's what it was for me. So I took that and I used it for what I needed to use it for. You take anger and you
Blackwell made me handsome. I don't know why it's just saying Facebook user that, but I'm gonna try to guess that that's Downey Bambino. If I had to think of a wild guess, we'll see.
Yeah, that guy's a chump. That guy's a chump.
Ooh.
That guy Damon Dante came on here the other day, and I was like, and I could not keep a serious face. You can't go the whole interview, and you got the nerve to say you're gonna kill my boy Jack Xander. You know where we are. Sanctuary's open on the off season too. Come get us. Come get us. Doors open.
There it is. I'm planting seeds for the next rivalry, the high ground versus the Sanctuary. Listen. I'll pull the curtain back aside.
Yeah.
I really think what you guys are both doing as young talent in this area is very, very exciting. And I'm not only excited to be the voice of High Ground, but I'm also excited to be the voice of Sanctuary. And one of the main reasons why I love going is obviously the names and the talent and the people who are going to be the veterans of those companies. But I'm very excited to be the voice of your young careers. And the fact that not only are you guys taking up your brand and being proud of where you come from, but also being so receptive to others and keeping yourselves tight and helping each other get good inside your group. And I think there's a lot of really cool things that both of your groups are doing, and I'm excited to see the future of it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Especially like you guys haven't seen like the evolution I've seen from like my stablemates. Last season they were all like finding their footing. Like even Xander, who's been wrestling way longer than I have, Xander found a new footing over this offseason. And like, you're never gonna see Xander the same way you saw him before. Xander came in his first match with me. He slapped up my stomach, and he got yelled at by Trotsky afterwards because it doesn't hurt. Like you don't hear it, and all of a sudden you watch a Xander match now. Go watch that last triple threat that we had at the last proving grounds with me, Andre, and Xander. Xander hits hard now. Xander's a player now. Like you guys gotta watch out. People want to call him out because he's this little kid. He's not a little kid anymore. He's Zach Xander. Y'all gotta recognize that he puts in the work harder than anybody I've ever seen. You tell him what he's doing wrong, and he fixes it and does it even better than he could have imagined he.
Yeah, and I think he's stuck in that phase right now where there's two ways your body's going to be. You could be the chubby kid that turns into muscle, or you're the really really skinny kid who can't put muscle on. And you have to just fight through those early years where you're just like, oh well, this is just who I am now. And then as you develop and as you get older and your body changes and your body starts working into your workout session, and then you just kind of turn into different humans. I always say, man, you look at Jordan Oliver. Jordan Oliver, when he first started, looked like a Zach Xander, and now Jordan Oliver looks like a megastar. He looks like someone you could watch on TV. He could be the Ace Austin. When Ace first started, he was the same thing. He was a little scrawny kid that couldn't put muscle on, and then he hit that stride, and now he has probably the biggest quads in professional wrestling. But that doesn't come without entering a gym. You know what I mean? And I love that motivation. But yeah, so I had a thought and I lost it because I got excited. Yeah, so you said a lot of off-season work coming in this year. For people who don't know, and people maybe are listening, when can we expect the doors of the sanctuary to open back up to the public and start riding that out?
I'm hearing March. That's the word as of now. So I'm working for it. Yeah, March is what I've heard. But the sanctuary things always change. But
Yeah, we have a blizzard in March. You never know.
It'll be February, like the week before the show, and that's the season.
Yeah.
But no, that's what I'm hearing. It's gonna be March. Yeah, season 13.
I seen a backstage slash promo room now area where people can promos and do podcasts. So that's kind of being built up now. They're already doing there's a VR experience where if you're not physically in the sanctuary, you can have a VR experience where it's a 3-dimensional VR experience and see the sanctuary. Or there's right now the new graphics and stuff going up where we're kind of building to that new season. So dude, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, just knowing the fact that motivation is coming from Tom and that motivation is coming from John. And when John is showing excitement for this next
motivated
season,
Trotsky is scary and exciting.
Yes.
Because you never know what's going to come out of that mind. But it's always like the most like beautiful, well put together thing.
I feel like I could be completely off basis and wrong with this, and I don't know, but this is my mind state. But like this season for me, the last season for me, the Sanctuary was really cool because I really felt like I kind of came into my own as a commentator and as a representation of the Sanctuary and kind of put my flag down there. But also BP had his first season as a commentator too, and I thought we complement each other very well. But the whole show, people don't realize that I have Trotsky immediately to my right. And doing commentary, but also hearing Trotsky play the old man in the Muppets yelling at each other, it is not easy. I literally decided to do commentary. I put one ear like this.
Yeah.
I want to hear Trotsky. And there's times where I kill my mic and I'll talk to Trotsky about what's happening in the ring as a match and then run back and turn my mic back on. I'm up there dancing and moving around. I get into it up there. But yeah, so like I feel like I really got close to Trotsky this season, and there's been times where we just kind of pull each other aside and just kind of keep each other in balance and check because I know we both have, our own mental issues, but we're the same person. If we're both motivated, we're scary people. And the way that Sanctuary ended last year with a full crowd and with still more space for more people to come, and I think we're really, really going to build onto that this season and have more people showing up and feeding off the energy and hopefully people watching at home because of this. Hopefully my brand gets more people to check the Sanctuary and be like, yo, Sunday, I'm going to YouTube. I can't physically be there, but I'm going to be in the chat because I'm trying to make what I'm doing now where I interact with the chat while I'm doing a podcast, when I interact with the chat when I'm doing a live stream. I'm doing that on commentary. I'm going to start doing an interactive, which we kind of started this year, which I think was a lot of fun as well, where you're interacting. where else can you have the commentary team call your match, but also interact with the chat? I just think that was a cool thing that Trotsky let me do.
It's different and it works.
Yeah, he trusted me to do that, and I think that's really, really cool. And it's just like really getting that respect from Trotsky, and then he kind of lets other people put their vision in, and everyone's kind of inputting their storylines. Because at one point in time, like if you pitch Trotsky a storyline, like
yeah,
he's receptive and he's letting people insert themselves into the show with good reason and good direction. And I think he's realizing that the more people that are doing that, the more they're taking pride in this building. And you guys are showing up and you're cleaning and getting things ready for the people. And it's just dude, this upcoming season of Sanctuary is gonna be a lot of fun.
Trust me, I'm putting in my best work. Honor Society's putting in their best work. I can already see in Hawthorne. I can already see in Paulino. The work rate is going to be off the charts. Right?
He says, last season I was really late, but I enjoyed the hell of it. I can't wait till next season. Crispy said next season's going to be insane. Jennifer says, go Vince. Streambot is reminding everybody it's there.
Extreme Elements.
Yeah, Stream Elements. Yeah, there we go. Everyone says, my buddy Ricky saying, great show, ABJ. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and show that love. But man, what a fun thing. If anyone has any questions in the chat, we are getting to that hour mark. So make sure if you have any questions, ask them in there. But I want to ask you one thing. So coming into this season, who's your hit list? Who do you want to work?
Already set in stone.
You want to bring into the Sanctuary that maybe hasn't been a Sanctuary member?
Right. I'm not too familiar with the Indy scene. I'm still trying to get out there. So my list is going to be limited.
Names who may be showing up at some First Fridays. Yeah. I've been out there and scouting some people. I've been scouting not only good wrestlers but really good characters.
Yeah.
And I think when they come in the building and Trotsky sees them, he's going to go, "Oh, you would be really fun to be a member here." And people who I think when they get that light show and they get that music and they get that environment, I think it's going to drive that character even more out of them. So there's going to be some fun faces that ABJ is bringing into the scene, to the Sanctuary this year, which I'm pumped for.
Yeah, hit list. I want to face Kit Raff. That's been on my list for a long time.
That's a good one.
I feel like there's work to be done there. And
on Facebook, tag Kit Raff right now.
Yeah, I want Kit Raff. I want Travis Dorian. Yeah, definitely. Travis, it has to happen. It has to be full circle. If it's not full circle, I'll be so disappointed. It has to happen this season. This is a push, but I want Prince Ahmed.
Ooh.
I want Ahmed bad. I want him to kick my ass because I need to know what it feels like in order to get ready for it, to get on that level. All the backbreakers kids, like I said, you know where I am at. If you need to invite me, I'll make my way over too. I'm not scared.
I think you and Donnie would be a fun match.
Oh, every time I'm all right. All jokes aside, Donnie's one of my favorite opponents. Every time we've only like locked up like twice,
and
but
like,
that one match we had on multi-rounds, we beat the crap out of each other. And then during the multi-man, we had a lot of fun just beating the crap out of each other. That's always what you're gonna get out of our matches.
Real quick, I was gonna bring this up on his podcast, but I'll give you a little teaser.
Yeah.
So I just got to hang out with Donnie really for the first time. A lot of wrestlers. This weekend has been really, really fun of just us going out as wrestling people outside of wrestling and hanging out. So we all went to go see a band, and I can't really say too much because I don't want to give anything away or get anybody upset. But we went to go see a band, and a bunch of people came out and supported the band. But it was cool to hang out. But Donnie, literally in character, has the perfect mobster look, an Italian kid. And then I hung out with him in public, and he's got earrings, he's got his nose ring. He went straight from like an Italian mobster, like to like the handsome mobster to like the handsome emo kid. I was like, this guy is multi-talented here. Yeah. This guy's killing the game. His look changed, and I was like, yo, emo Donnie is where it's at.
Hanging out with Damon Dante a little often now.
Yeah.
He's gonna be walking around with some face paint. It's gonna be.
I love it. Yeah, Donnie's killing the game out in public. Very impressed with the kid. So anyway, who else on your list?
I want to face the Mastodon. One-on-one, I don't care. And Diamond City War Machines. Them against any of the Honor Society.
You and Crispy versus Diamond City, or anybody?
Me and Zach, maybe. We have a little thing that we're working on. Me and Austin. Just want to face the Diamond City War Machines. I have Pinhead's been like really big for me, like as someone like after shows or like just showing up like any show. He's always done a good job of making me feel comfortable and like welcomed backstage.
Same here. That's probably why I have as much confidence as I do, is being in this business and feeling like I belong and feeling like I have a place here, is because Eric and Brad, 100%. Watching Vince go and evolve this season has been amazing. I can't wait to see you continue and face new people. Do you think the Stunt Cat will seek revenge for you turning your back on him? Uh-oh.
Stunt Cat?
Stunt Cat. Listen, don't sleep. Sometimes you got to put those logs on the fire, and they become bright fires.
No,
you know.
listen, Anthony. Listen, I did the work for Stunt Cat against DTF of all people, right? Who the hell are DTF?
That's a stable right there.
And I put in the work. I literally single-handedly, like it was said on commentary, I had my way with DTF, and I left. All he had to do was hook the leg. Couldn't get the job done, so he's not of use to me anymore.
Probably one
not on the Honor Society's watch list either. Keep training.
Favorite moment of commentary. DTF. You all know what that means. Down to BB. Whoa. It means fight. What? These guys can't get anything right. Love that. You think I'm handsome, Blackwell? Look at this Donnie Bambino. I love this guy. He says Jenny says he got 9 lives, so keep an eye out. You know.
All right.
Well, Jenny, I seen Stunt Cat's been looking at a really good mask maker, so maybe we got some cool new masks coming from the Stunt Cat this year. I'm pretty excited for that. Bad Fellas versus DTF. Just saying. Look at Donnie wants to. He's booking a tag match.
You can have him. You can take.
Listen, you can't mess with the Fearless one. Come on now.
Yeah, no, they're really like. You won't believe it, but like he's really strong.
Yeah,
like he scooped me up for that body slam in a way I've never been like just naturally like just held me up, slammed me down. Never felt anything like it. He's insanely strong. Him and Kyle D. I can't explain it, but like when you get lifted by them, it's like you're in air.
Yeah,
and like I didn't help at all. They like scooped me up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are some other things you're looking forward to in 2023? How else you want to leave your mark here in this business?
By the end of this year, I want to work over 50 matches. I only did like 28 last season. Not happy with that. I could do better.
I called 49 matches in one day last year.
Yeah.
So stupid.
You're working, bro.
After like we did it, and the whole time we were doing it, we're motivated the whole time. Like, we got this. We're doing it. And then on the way home, me and Pete normally talk the whole way home. I just looked at him like, I love you to death, people. I'm not saying a word the rest of the drive home. And he's like, I don't blame you. Our voices were dead. He's like, why do we do that? And then we're like, no, I'm glad we did it, because then we could say we did it together. But not many people who do commentary can say they've done one match shy of 50 matches in one day.
Wild.
That was a long day, but I'm proud of that.
I reffed like 3 matches when I first started, and I was out of it. Like, just watching wrestling, it's exhausting because there's so much going on and there's so much emotion that goes through like just watching it. I can't imagine 49 matches in one. That's wild.
It was awesome. So what else you have planned up?
I definitely want to like get out of Sanctuary just a little bit. I'm very comfortable at home, but when I went to the scouting camp, the Contest of Champions scouting camp.
I was very happy you showed up for that too. I was very proud of you.
Yeah, I dropped the ball, but
no, you didn't. The fact that you showed up, dude. No matter if you had the greatest day of your career there, or if you think you fell short of it, the fact that you got in your car and you drove 2.5 hours to show up and put your name in the hat with over hundreds of different independent talent. Even if you, like I'm gonna say, maybe you're not gonna get a phone call from any of those promotions,
right?
But what you did and worked with a lot of those names and seen a lot of those people and got your name out there and networked with the people you networked. I'm proud of you for doing that, because I think that was a really smart move for you.
Yeah, no, I needed to see it. Like in my head, like after like everything was said and done, and I was super disappointed. My match got cut before I could even get in the ring. It was a tag match. We only have 4 minutes, and then they cut it before the match could even like happen. So I was just really disappointed, but I learned so much just from that experience, and I feel like I'm gonna be better for it. I want to get back there because I know they're gonna have another one, but this time I want to bring all of Honor Society with me because I think a lot of them are gonna kill it. Yeah, I want to get out there. I want to see people. I want to get the feeling of what it is to be a pro wrestler. I've never had it. I've always been Sanctuary stunt fighter Vince Torres, and I want to be an independent wrestler. I want to try it out. If it's not for me, at least I know I have Sanctuary.
Mhm.
But I want this year to be, my foundation is still being built. Let me add some detail to it now. Let me polish it. You know, just let me test the waters. I tested a little bit with UCW last year. Backbreakers, I did a rumble for them, but all it did was leave me hungry. Like, I'm super hungry right now because this big break from the off season to the next season, it kills me because I feel like people are like missing out on some like key developments of mine, and like they're not gonna see like, oh, he got something different here, and like they're not gonna see that. So I'm hoping this year you're gonna see me around more. If not, you're gonna find me at Sanctuary at home because that's where we do it
Get
best.
get in those cars, man.
Yeah.
I learned this year, when someone says, "Hey, I have an open spot in my car. Do you just want to come hang out and go see a show?" Even if you're just going to watch the show, just show up. Show up and be like, "Hey," go to the promoter and be like, "What can I do to help? What do you need me to do? Here's what I can do." You know what I mean? I 9 times out of 10, that experience is going to be positive. Um, do it.
Yeah,
Like I
no,
said,
I'm trying. It's hard because I don't
I'm a
drive
guy
yet.
who's 36 years old, man, and for me to drive a 50 anything out of a 50-mile radius of the 570 was unheard of for me. I've only ever been out of the country once. I've only ever been on a plane like 2 or 3 times in my life. Like vacations, I don't know what the fuck vacation is. I'm poor, you know what I'm saying? But like I drove to full like for me to go to Philly, I've only ever been to Phillies in my 36 years of living maybe one time in my life. Jersey one time in my life. Like I just never traveled. I've always stayed in my thing. And professional wrestling, that now I'm driving to Jersey 3 times a month. I'm driving through. I'm paying more in tolls than I care to admit. But and those moments of getting out there have been tremendous for me. So recommend it, man. Just find
Yeah,
those shows, get in cars with people, and just go for rides. If you're
I'm
not working the
trying.
show that day, be like, yo, where's a show I can go support? Where can I go and just watch and get my name out there? It's beneficial.
I mean, like the UCW show, just because I can't drive, and my anxiety was still like, I'm not good with talking with people. I'm really not, but I try my best now. Getting better. I took an Uber all the way from Hazleton to the
Did you really?
UCW. Yeah, $72 Uber
You
just to
should have
get.
told. You should have told me, man. I would have come grab you.
I'm not good at talking with people. I'm getting better at it now. But yeah, I get there. It's just sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, no, dude. If you that door's always. If I ever have like, it's harder now because my car's usually filled with myself, Pete, Brian, Riley, and Philly Mike. But
Mhm.
if I have a seat, man, I always tell people I'd love to show up with a full car full because if I can bring more people from PA to Jersey and get more people opportunities, I'd love to do so.
Yeah, no, literally anytime.
I wouldn't be where I am if people didn't extend that hand and get me where I am. So if I can pay it forward, I'd love to do so. Where can people find you?
uh, Instagram, YouTube, Vince Torres brand, at Vince Torres brand. Twitter, it's at underscore Vince Torres underscore. Facebook, Vince Torres brand. I got it pretty locked down there. I'm starting Twitch again. I forgot to send it to you. I'm gonna start up again. My channel is called Polar Arcane because I was really into the show Arcane, and my favorite animal is a polar bear. Came together pretty nicely.
Yeah.
So it's Twitch TV/Polar Arcane. Arcane. Yeah, that's it.
So one of the things I definitely want to get out there, and I'm glad you said YouTube because it reminded me. If you're in the independent scene and you have a social media presence, even if you don't upload a video, make a YouTube account with your wrestling name. The reason I'm saying this now is because YouTube is adding this thing where you could be tagged in playlists and on videos, and they will show up on your YouTube channel without even you having to make content. And then people who see those videos help the other person who published it get views as well. But just for an example, there may or may not be something coming out for a promotion I'm working for where we're using that opportunity right now where we're making up like essentially resumes for people, and we can tag you, and then your YouTube will be that entire company's playlist of your work. Uh, and I'm trying to change a little bit of the way YouTube is used for independent wrestling. That's what I've been working my ass off on for a while now.
It's about time because YouTube is
Make that account
updating
because
insanely.
you can definitely get your name out there with other accounts, and being the way that they added a tagging system on YouTube, and it can be very beneficial to get more eyes on you as a wrestler or as a product. what was there was something else I wanted to end here with, but I don't remember. So yeah, you got your socials out there. Another thing too, if like I said on my end, if you go to the links below, all his stuff is down there, as well as ABJ merchandise. If you want to grab a T-shirt or a sticker or anything, it's all there. We do also have a Patreon. Patreon can be as little as $1, or it can be as high as you want. If you're Daddy Warbucks, or you want to be a sugar mama to the podcast, I take anything I can get. But that, like I said, it does help with tolls. It helps with keeping the podcast going, paying for StreamYard and Adobe and the editing services. It's a monthly subscription. You just go. Right now, there's no bonus content. Maybe we'll work on that in the future, but it's just general support now. So anything you guys can do to support myself, Vincent, the injured wrestlers below. Times are tough. If you can't do it monetarily, we understand. But a like on social media goes a long way. Subscribing to YouTube. Like right now, I made $37 last month on Facebook, and you know what all had to happen? People liked my page.
Yeah.
People liked my page. People commented. People shared, and it didn't cost them a dime, and it took seconds out of their day, and they made me money because they showed support.
Just gotta play the algorithm.
There's money in these platforms that small content creators can get, and it all comes from just showing support. So I made $37 from YouTube, and it was just because people shared content, people commented, people showed there's a value in my content and on my page, and we can definitely keep this going if people just show that support to the people they care about. It could be anybody, you know what I mean? I was shocked that Facebook was like, yeah, you're eligible for monetization. I was like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Bring it in. Anything else you want to get off your chest before we get out of here, Vincent?
Just want to shout out the Backbreakers kids one more time. I'm here. I'm waiting. You either bring me to you or you come here. My door is always open. I got a key.
If you had to pick, who's your top guy in that thing you want to work? Who's your top? You said Donnie. Donnie's up there. Is he your number one?
I already faced Donnie. Give me Ricky.
Oh, you want Ricky Price?
Give me Ricky Price.
Maybe I can recruit you to beat up that no good Ricky Price. I try to get that guy, the dude, and the guy bashed his face off his own face off his turnbuckle.
Issue. Dude can't even handle his issues with the ring post. So
yeah, I can't. I brought a guy in to beat up Ricky, and he bashed his own face off a turnbuckle.
Maybe Crispy will do it. Maybe Crispy will do it.
We tried that once, you know. I watched the Ricky Price Crispy lockup. You know, it was a nightmare.
I'll tell you what, it was the most entranced in a match I've ever been in. I was in the match.
It was fun to call. It was very, very fun to call. I think it's going to be one of those matches we look back on in a couple of years, and it's going to be something we highlight.
Yeah.
But thank you, Vincent, so much. Like I said, I hate on the Honor Society a lot. By the way, there's a new TV show out right now called Honor Society. Did you know that?
No.
It's on, like Peacock or something. It's the kid from Stranger Things, the teeth guy, the teeth kid. He's part of a show. It's either on Peacock or Hulu or something, and it's called the Honor Society. So that's not a bad thing, because if you get your social media presence up and make an Honor Society Facebook page and social media accounts, people are going to search for that show and maybe stumble across a wrestling group. So
I'm only mad that I didn't capitalize on making all the accounts on Twitter and all that, so they could pay me for the handle.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I just seen it the other day. I think it's either it's about to start or it just started. But thank you for your time, brother.
Thanks for
like I said, I'm very, very happy that I could be a part of your early career, and my voice is there. That means a lot to me, and it may not even be you might not even be aware of it, but I'm excited to keep watching you grow. Keep working your ass off. I'm hearing nothing but good things coming out of that sanctuary camp about you, and let's make 2023 the sanctuary a place to be. Let's get those pews full. Let's get people rocking. Let's get people excited. Let's build that brand. And let's have some fucking fun, man. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and share. Everyone over on the Facebook side, thank you for the hearts, the likes, the care emojis. It means the world. Here's some Billy Trey. We'll see you later on tonight at 7 o'clock with Security Inc. See ya. A wild crispy is here.